What if Luffy ate 3 devil fruits? Imagine a world where fate twisted harder than the seas themselves, where destiny refused to play fair, and where Monkey D. Luffy, the boy with the straw hat and the endless grin, carried not just one impossible power, but 3. His original Gomu Gomu no Mi, the mythical fruit that awakened into the sun god Nika, was already enough to reshape history. But now imagine him devouring the Goro Goro no Mi, Enel's lightning fruit, and the dreaded Yami Yami no Mi, Blackbeard's abyssal darkness. 3 fruits, 3 storms raging in one body, a contradiction so deadly that anyone else would have been ripped apart instantly. But Luffy wasn't anyone else. He was Joy Boy reborn, and the drums of liberation didn't just echo, they roared like thunder across the skies. The seas would never know balance again. This is the story of what would have happened if Luffy had eaten 3 devil fruits. The first tremor shook the world at Enies lobby. The Straw Hats had come to declare war against the world government, but this time, when Luffy clashed with Rob Lucci, it wasn't just rubber fists flying. Mid-battle, Lucci sneered, his Rokushiki techniques cutting through the air, but Luffy's chest sparked like a storm about to break. Electricity bled across his rubber body, amplifying every punch into an explosion of thunder. A single jet pistol laced with lightning turned into a cannon that shattered steel walls. Then, for the first time, the abyss opened. Black tendrils of the Yami Yami no Mi spilling out, swallowing light itself, pulling Lucci's body into a vortex of crushing gravity before slamming him back down. The Straw Hats froze, horrified and amazed. Luffy didn't even understand what unleashed. He was laughing, lightning sparking through his teeth, shadows curling around his arms, his body cartoonishly rubbery but godlike at the same time. By the time the Buster Call arrived, the Marines found not an exhausted rookie crew, but a storm. Luffy stretched into the sky, coated himself in lightning, and rained down bolts like the judgment of heaven, while the dark void beneath him consumed cannonballs whole. Enies lobby wasn't just destroyed, it was erased, a hole of shadows surrounded by charred ruins, and the world whispered in terror. A pirate had defied nature itself. Marineford was supposed to be Whitebeard's stage, a war that scarred an era, but in this timeline, it became the birth of something beyond comprehension. Luffy didn't stumble into the battlefield bloodied and desperate. He arrived cloaked in lightning, his straw hat shadowed by arcs of energy, his fists wrapped in both sunlight and darkness. Admirals Kizaru, Aokiji, and Akainu converged instantly, recognizing the threat. Kizaru's beams of light blurred through the air, only to be devoured by the abyss of the Yami Yami no Mi. Aokiji froze the bay, but a surge of electricity shattered the ice into steaming shards. Akainu's magma fists met rubber lightning punches that shook the entire plaza. The world's strongest powers collided, but Luffy's laugh cut through the chaos, a drumbeat no admiral could silence. With a roar, he stretched skyward and unleashed Raijin Gatling. Hundreds of electrified rubber fists crashing down with thunderclaps, carving through marine ranks like a storm tearing through sails. And when Sengoku himself tried to end him, transforming into the Golden Buddha, Luffy countered with an attack the world would remember forever. Abyssal Sunstorm. He twisted rubber, fire, lightning, and darkness into one colossal strike, a spiraling storm that devoured the execution platform, shattered Sengoku's form, and freed Ace in a blinding explosion. Marineford didn't end as history remembers. It ended with the Marines broken, the admirals bloodied, and the Pirate King's son walking free under skies torn apart by thunder and shadow. But 3 devil fruits weren't a blessing. They were a curse with teeth. By the time the Straw Hats regrouped for the final war, Luffy's body was a battlefield. His rubber heart beat with lightning, each pulse like a storm inside his veins. Darkness gnawed at his bones, threatening to consume him from within. And yet, he laughed. Because that's who Luffy was, the boy who never broke, no matter how impossible the weight he carried. As the Straw Hat fleet marched on Mary Geoise, the celestial dragons trembled. The Gorosei prepared their most ancient weapons, and Imu, the hidden sovereign, revealed themselves at last. The battlefield was no island, no bay. It was the Red Line itself, the holy land of the gods, trembling under the feet of pirates. Zoro cut down celestial guardians, Sanji shattered iron ranks, but all eyes turned skyward as Luffy faced the Gorosei, who revealed their monstrous Zoan forms, primal beasts born of forbidden power. Each one clashed with him, claws and fangs tearing reality apart. But Luffy was not just rubber. He was lightning, striking faster than sight. He was darkness, swallowing attacks whole and returning them doubled. He was the sun, his laughter igniting hope in every pirate heart. The battlefield became a painting of chaos, thunderclouds swirling with shadows, flames born of friction and rubber igniting the heavens, and a straw hat silhouette laughing in the center of it all. The clash with Imu was unlike anything the seas had ever known. Imu wielded an ancient power beyond devil fruits, a force tied to the Void Century itself, a crushing authority that made reality bend. With a gesture, entire fleets crumbled into dust. With a glance, oceans boiled. And yet Luffy grinned, teeth sparking, hair wild, eyes glowing with that impossible freedom. He fought not with strategy but with heart, stretching into the storm, combining his 3 fruits into techniques that seemed like divine miracles. Stormbreaker pistol. A rubber punch infused with lightning, wrapped in darkness, detonating like a miniature sun. Eternal Night Gatling. Dozens of shadow fists multiplied through rubber cloning, striking with thunderclaps. Liberation Dawn. A final attack where Luffy turned his entire body into light and storm, crashing into Imu with the weight of 3 devil fruits burning at once. The impact split the red line, cracked the earth, and for a moment, it seemed the world itself had stopped. Silence. Then the sound of drums. Luffy's heartbeat, the rhythm of freedom, echoed across every sea. The world government fell not to strategy, not to fleets, but to one impossible boy who laughed at destiny. And yet, as the dust settled, the curse of 3 fruits demanded its due. Luffy's body was breaking apart, darkness eating at his flesh, lightning bursting uncontrolled, rubber stretching beyond its limits. The Straw Hats ran to him, screaming, but he only grinned. "I told you, I'd be Pirate King," he whispered, voice crackling like thunder. He planted his flag, not of the world government, not of an empire, but of freedom. The seas boiled with change, the celestial dragons erased, the oppressed rising with hope. And then, in a final burst of light and shadow, Luffy's figure faded into legend. Some say he died that day, consumed by the impossible power he stole from the gods. Others say he became the storm itself, his laughter echoing in every thunderclap, every crashing wave. What's certain is this. The boy who ate 3 devil fruits was no longer just a pirate. He was the storm that ended an era and began a new one, and his name would be whispered forever, not as a king, not as a god, but as the freest man the seas had ever known. But legends never die quietly. They ripple like waves after a storm, reshaping the seas long after the thunder fades. In the aftermath of Luffy's disappearance, the world entered an age of upheaval. Kingdoms once shackled under the celestial dragons rose in rebellion, their flags stitched with the memory of a boy who laughed at gods. Pirates who once warred against each other now marched under a single banner, the banner of freedom Luffy had planted on that shattered red line. The Marines, fractured and leaderless, struggled to rebuild their authority, but every time they declared control, a whisper would rise across the seas. "Didn't you hear the drums? He's still out there." Sailors swore they heard laughter rolling in the thunderclouds. Fishermen claimed storms spoke his name, and children born in this new dawn were told stories of a man who defied the world itself. The Straw Hat crew carried his will like fire. Zoro wandered as the blade of the new era, teaching lost swordsmen the meaning of strength. Sanji fed the hungry in war-torn lands, calling every meal a promise to the captain. Nami mapped the freed seas, charting routes once hidden by tyranny. Usopp's lies became truths, stories of his captain turning into legends that inspired armies. Robin unearthed the true history, finally piecing together Joy Boy's legacy with Luffy at its heart. Frankie and Brook built shrines that doubled as warships, carrying music and hope across oceans, and Jinbei steered the tides, ensuring Fishman Island thrived in the sunlight Luffy had promised. But the greatest legacy wasn't what they built, it was the spirit they carried. Wherever oppression rose, whispers of Luffy's storm would follow. Whenever chains clinked, thunder cracked, and deep down, in every heart that beat freely, there lingered a belief that he hadn't vanished at all. That Monkey D. Luffy, the boy who bore 3 devil fruits and paid the price, hadn't been consumed, but had become the sea itself. Every storm, every wave, every flash of lightning was his will, guiding the world toward the freedom he had died or transcended for. In that silence, after the drums, the seas learned the truth. Pirate King was just a title. Luffy had become something greater, an eternal storm of liberation.